Yo, welcome back to another episode of Nothing Agreed. Back with the boys. You know how it goes, baby. Back with the boys. Double B, Baron Burns. Hey, if your middle name was another, is your middle name another B?
My own name, it does start with a B.
So you're triple B?
No.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Is Baron your middle name?
Yeah.
Am I learning new things about it? Oh, yeah, Steve, isn't your
Whoa,
name
whoa,
Steve?
whoa, 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 whoa. We can't be throwing
Yeah, come
around
on now.
government names around here.
What's your SSN now? I gotta know that too at that point.
797
All right, calm
14.
down, calm down. Anyways, I probably just learned something new, even though I didn't. How are you doing? I was about to call you Big Baller Brain if you were triple B, but I guess I'm stupid.
That'd be pretty dope. I'm doing good. How about you?
I can't complain myself. It is
How's
way too hot outside, but it's hot.
What's hot?
We were talking about this a little bit before. College football 26 is currently the hot topic right now because as we're recording this, it dropped today.
If you
It has
pre-ordered.
dropped. If you pre-ordered.
If you
And
pre-
you yourself.
Or if you pre-ordered the deluxe edition. Sorry.
Yes, you have pre-ordered the deluxe edition.
Well, I got the MVP bundle because
Oh, look at this guy.
what's the bang for your buck? If you'd rather
Yeah.
spend $160 on both games, or you could get $130 for both, and I got free access.
There was already like a 10 or 15% discount. I was going through the store on the MVP bundles. Like the games haven't even released yet. Like they're already going on sale. Like it's that bad. Like
in my opinion, like people would be like, "Oh, this greedy ass company," right? But if both of the deluxe games are, let's say, $80, I think both deluxe versions of the game are $80, maybe $90. So that's if you bought both individually, that would be 180, 160 in total. So if I got it with 160 and I have Game Pass Ultimate, that comes with EA Play. So I actually think I paid 120 because I got another discount because of EA Play that I already also pay for. So
yeah,
it was worth it for me. I'm gonna play both that and Madden probably for a lot of the year. So
more a big Madden guy.
yeah, I'm excited.
See,
I mean, I've seen the Madden trailers. We have a whole another episode if we want, just talking about Madden and college football and all that. But yeah, new game's pretty good. I mean, I only spent like 30 minutes on it today, but
yeah,
I'll probably
and
play
there's
more
the
later.
there's the feature where it's like when you're playing through your high school year, it also simulates the college year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I personally think that's stupid because like if you're playing in high school, right? And I understand people want the realism of that, like they're playing, but like let's say I want to go to like, I don't know, Clemson, right? And Cade
Mm-hmm.
Klubnik's the senior starter, then I know like, hey, I have a chance. Or like I would know Vizina, who is their backup, is gonna come in and get it. Or if it's like, hey, if I'm going to like, I don't know, Texas, right? And Arch Manning is gonna go to the draft the next year. It's like, okay, maybe I have a chance, right? Or the backup QBs. It's stuff like that where I'm
The way
like,
I can see it, because that I know that they they tweaked the AI or how the AI thinks this year about transferring and all those mechanics. So let's say for Zeno, for example, if he was, I think he's a base 85, 86 in the game for a player that
yeah,
high. To sit behind a guy like Klubnik, who's going to be his last season, he's going to transfer. I think most leagues, that's just going to be what happens because of how the system works and all that. So but my whole point is, I don't think that's too big of a deal. I actually kind of like it because I think it's kind of cool how you're playing in tandem and you're like, oh yeah, if Cade's going to win the Heisman and I want to go to Clemson, then that's might help my chances. The only way I see it not being a good idea and people getting a little upset is if there's like a player, like if you built a wide receiver and you wanted Cade Klubnik throwing you the ball, right? Sorry for all the Clemson examples. That's just close to
that's
home.
our
But
reference.
yeah, he's a red-shirted senior this year. It's just going to be his last year, probably regardless. I guess he could stay one more year, but it's probably going to be his last year in college, and that's the way it probably works in the game. So if you built a wide receiver and you wanted to go to Clemson and play with Cade Klubnik for your freshman year, I guess that could be a complaint. But the way the games work, I don't know how that would work because you have to earn your spot and how you're starting level out. You probably wouldn't get to play your first season anyway, but I don't know. I mean, I personally, I like it. You'll just have to I think it's just one of those things that you'll take person to person.
The Vizina thing is like you're saying like, oh, it makes sense for him to transfer, but it doesn't make sense for him to transfer.
I
'Cause
know
then,
it
like,
doesn't, but in the game logic, in terms of the way the game works, it does.
which is stupid because
Yeah.
because he's already on Clemson this year. If he transfers, I mean, he has a starting job already locked up. Like,
I think the way it worked, maybe this is just in the one that I started, but another guy, I forget his name, transferred to Clemson. That was a higher
yeah,
overall, so that might be why he left. But I know
that
they
makes sense.
revamped the whole transfer program and portal, how that works in
Yeah,
college football. So I'm
yeah,
excited
which
to
means
play.
it's
I'm
gonna be
excited to start up a
broke.
dynasty
Yeah,
here in a
it's gonna
little
be
bit.
broke, and there's gonna be bugs with it. It's EA, like it's
It'll
gonna
be
be
fine. Don't worry.
stupid.
People overreact all the time. But let's talk about some actual college football.
The real life college
Some real
football,
life college football. Something
hmm
we don't cover a lot on.
which we should.
We probably should. I mean, big Georgia Bulldog over here, Clemson Tiger right here. Both pretty competitive football teams, both looking to compete for a national championship this year, hopefully. Um,
Hey, both teams, right? Both
mm-hmm.
teams are under plus 1,000 to win the national championship. There's 7 teams that are under plus 1,000 that you can bet on to win the national championship. UGA and Clemson are 2 of those 7 teams.
Yeah,
Now,
I
but
think
neither of them are the favorite to win it. That's
that's
the thing.
true. That's true. The
So,
favorite's
and
probably who? Texas right now.
one more, they're tied with some other team.
Give me the conference.
Big Ten.
I think is Ohio State, isn't it?
Ohio State,
Yeah,
they're both tied at plus 420. At least what I was looking on. So, I mean, they're both up there. UGA's third when it comes to it, and then I think Clemson's 6th.
Yeah, they're up there in the top 10. I know they're in the
championship.
top 10. But yeah, I thought, how about let's do this way, Brooks. This is what I was thinking for today. Best way to kind of divide this up.
Ooh, you're thinking today. Okay. That's a new step. All right.
We'll go with the Power Four conferences: ACC, SEC, Big 12, or Big 12 and Big 10. Pac-12 is the one that got dissolved, and then we'll do a big thing about all the other things that we didn't cover. Right? I think that'll just be the best way. We're a little far out from bowl weeks and national championships and awards to give any solid, credible predictions. Obviously, we can say the favorites everyone knows, but nowhere to give any bold predictions. So let's just start where it's best for me, I guess. You're no longer in the ACC, but we'll start there.
Look at me trying for the money for the NIL.
Yeah, he had to leave the state, ladies and gentlemen. Had to go home.
Baby.
But ACC. How competitive is it going to be this year? What are you thinking?
I don't think it's going to – I think of all the major – I was about to say Power 5, but it's Power 4. Of all the Power 4 conferences, I think this is, at least upside-wise, the least competitive when it comes to the conference championship. I think Clemson should be the through-and-through favorite. I think Miami is going to take a big step back. How big that step is, I don't know. But I think teams like Louisville, SMU are still going to be competitive, but are they going to be the competitive, like, challenge Clemson right up there in the regular season and in the conference championship? I don't know. I mean, something that I do think will be true is that I think Florida State, I think, is going to be not a very good team, but they're definitely not going to be 2-10, right? With Thomas Castellanos coming in, transferring, and Norvell is doing well when it comes to the portal and sometimes recruiting. I think 2-10 is not going to be what happens. And those 2 wins were against Cal, which was funny because Cal was upsetting everyone last year, or at least putting everyone on upset watch. And then they played a team that was trash and lost to them. Yeah. And they beat like Jacksonville State, or they beat an FCS team the week before they played Florida. I mean, it was really bad, but I think they'll bounce back. And then when it comes to Georgia Tech, I think it's a sleeper team in the ACC this year. What Brent Key is doing in Atlanta, right, at Bobby Dodd Stadium, I think is going to be something that are going to get fans on notice. He put fans on notice last time with that week 0 win in Dublin, Ireland against Florida State. But, now looking back on it is not that good of a win, But to go against the top 10.
It was good at the time, yeah.
It was good at the time. And then they even took Georgia to 8 overtimes in Sanford Stadium, putting a team that hasn't lost since 2019 on the ropes. And in my opinion, I'm at UGA. In my opinion, I know this is controversial for me to say, I think they should have lost. I think there were some calls that were, but you get by what you get by with. So I think, honestly, ACC is – you look at Miami, I think they're weaker. You look at Louisville, you look at SMU, I think they're going to be good, but not challenging Clemson, who I think is going to be the pinnacle and kind of the cream of the crop of what teams are in the ACC.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with most of that. Like you said, I think Clemson is probably the most – and obviously I'm going to be a homer for saying this, but they're the most well-rounded team. lots of players that are going to go to the draft. I mean, there's 3 guys that we could have in the top 10 of draft picks at the end of the season. We'll just wait and see.
Mhm.
Look at the other teams, though. I kind of agree about Miami. A lot of their players graduated or went to the draft. So we'll see
Yes.
how those guys. We'll see how they replenish that.
Carson Beck coming in
That is
for
true.
Miami, and
I'm
I
not.
think that's a
I'm
good.
not.
I think that's a good pickup, and here's
I think
why.
it's good,
I
but I
think
don't think
Carson
it's a needle mover,
Beck.
though. I don't think
I
it
don't think
puts
it's,
you where
I
you
don't think
were
it's
with
a
Cam
needle
Ward.
mover. But this is what I have to say. Carson Beck had some moments where he looked really bad. Also, UGA's wide receivers led the nation in drops. I mean,
Mhm.
that was the key for UGA losing. If you look at the Notre Dame game last year, they had a big drop down the left sideline that would have easily got them 65 plus yards. And they also had that penalty that happened on the sidelines, which was kind of a talking
Yeah.
point for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is, if you look at the ACC, I think this is genuinely a conference that if Clemson doesn't win the ACC, then there's a problem in Tiger Town.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm not too worried about Miami. I think like you said, Carson Beck's good for them. It's better than bringing in some other guy who hasn't played college football really before. I think out of all the transfers, that's probably the best one you could have got. Still, I don't think he's, and with the talent you put around him, I don't think that's going to put you in the same position you were in last year. We'll kind of wait and see. Louisville, I'm not too big on either. I have to wait and see how their new quarterback comes in and plays. I know Tyler Schott was a big reason why they were so good at the end of last season and halfway, kind of midway through as well. SMU, that's kind of one I would be a little worried about. They had a pretty good first year in their ACC. They
Mhm.
retained a lot of their team.
Yep.
And I think they're going to be good. I'm interested to see what Syracuse does after the end of last season. They finished the season pretty strong. Like to see if they can kind of capitalize on that.
Mhm.
But I mean, you kind of missed this. The biggest wild card in the ACC, and kind of probably the biggest story in college football, Bill Belichick's down in North Carolina.
Yeah.
We have to kind of hold our breath and wait and see what he's like.
I don't
Obviously,
think
this could be like an Urban Meyer in the NFL situation.
that's what I was
He
gonna
could
say.
lose
That's
every
what
game, but
I
I
don't think it's gonna
mean,
be that. But do I
I
think
don't either. I
do I think
think
UNC is the top 3 or 5 team in the ACC? I actually don't think so. I really don't think
really.
so. I think Miami. I think Louisville. I think SMU. Like at least on paper, when you're looking, I like SMU. I like Georgia Tech. I like Clemson. Those are the top
I
5.
do like Georgia Tech. I like that shout as well.
And
But I don't
even I
know.
don't.
I feel like you're sleeping on UNC a little. I mean,
I don't think I
I
am.
think they could
I really don't
be
think I am.
dangerous.
I
Look,
really
Bill
don't think
Belichick is arguably one of the greatest football coaches we've ever seen in the sport.
correct. But Bill Belichick has been surrounded by lots and lots of talent, right?
Yeah,
And back in his early days when he wasn't, he was bad.
I
So
know.
I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Of course, I could be really bad. This could be a really bad take, but even like right now, just with how culture is wise, I like Florida State almost at the same level of
Ooh.
UNC. Honestly, I'm gonna say it, and I think Week 1 is gonna be a tune-up match against Crimson Tide. That's gonna be a good crowd. They just finished construction as well on their stands, so you're gonna have
Yeah,
some
I don't
less
know.
numbers, a little more than last season. I think this could be a Florida State team that could make some noise. Thomas Castellanos coming from Boston College, like I said, I think it
Yeah,
can do something.
I mean, we'll see what he can do. But I mean, again, this might be also a little personal bias. I'm a big Belichick guy as well, but I really think that's going to be bigger than a lot of people are kind of giving him credit for. I feel like I don't see a lot of people talking about it as much anymore. I mean, a lot of people kind of forgot about it. Being honest, you'd be like, "Oh, are you excited to see what Bill Belichick's going to do next year?" They're like, "What? Oh yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that." So it's just like I don't know. I believe in the
but
guy. Um, and again, I think there's a reason he went to the
there's a
ACC
lot.
instead of the Big 12 or AC or SEC. But yeah, this kind of feels like a Dion to Colorado thing to me. I think he's gonna come in and
I don't
I
think
don't
it
think
has
he's
the
gonna like again. He's
like
not. I don't think he's coming in and winning the
I don't think he
ACC.
doesn't have
But
the energy and culture shift like a Dion does.
uh,
I hate to bring up Prime right now,
yeah, but
but
I think it'll come when they start
it's
winning. That's my
it's a
point.
comparative one that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, it'll come that way if they start winning, and I think they'll probably start the season pretty strong. I think they'll be a pretty well disciplined college football team for all the kids he gets to buy into what he's probably preaching, and yeah, we'll see what happens. I think my opinion, and this could be a terrible take, but I think he's the biggest wild card in all of college football this year.
Ooh. I don't think it's a terrible take, but I think it's one of the best storylines to look at because it's,
Absolutely.
college Bill Belichick. So, yeah.
Yeah, because no, this could. I mean, this could go. He could finish middle of the pack. This could be again an Urban Meyer to the NFL situation. This could be just doesn't understand the differences or what it takes to be a college coach, or he could lock in again one of the greatest football minds we've ever seen. He could compete for a national championship. That's also within the realm of possibility, at least to me. But like go to the playoffs. But well, we'll just wait and see. But yeah, I think that about does it for the ACC.
I
What's
think
next?
we should, I think
Big Tens, right? That's next
I would do a
alphabetically.
different one. And
Oh,
I think,
I'm going
I,
alphabetically.
okay, we'll do Big Ten. We'll do Big Ten.
I'm going alphabetically. Let's do the
We'll do
Big
Big
Ten.
Ten.
Yeah. Well, they had the national championship last year, so
Now,
they're feeling pretty good.
this to me is, again, I think this is a conference that if I had to pick, I think this is the second least competitive, at least top wise, but I still think it is very competitive at the top. I think ACC, like we talked about, I think Clemson is through and through should be the favorite. When it comes to the Big Ten, I think Ohio State should be the favorite. But you look at some of the teams there, right? Penn State, Oregon. And then I think once you hit Michigan, with Bryce Underwood coming in, 5-star quarterback number one, right? Once you hit Michigan, I think it kind of darts
Yeah, no,
off,
it
to be
does.
honest.
It does.
I think it really darts off. And I
It
think
does.
I think that middle of the pack is always fun about the Big Ten, right? You have Illinois, you have Nebraska, you have Indiana, Iowa, Washington. I think that is always the most exciting part about, like, you have Wisconsin, Minnesota, Rutgers. I mean, I think other teams like the bottom is going to be Northwestern and Purdue, usually how it goes.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
that's just how it's been the last. I mean, as long as I can remember, that's just kind of how
yeah.
it's been. I
And,
mean,
and
one of those middle of the pack teams will sprout up for a year or two and be competitive, and then it'll die down, and it'll just go back to how it's been. But yeah, I mean, it's always fun to watch those games. I mean, Iowa, Illinois, those are good games. Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, those are all great games to watch.
Mhm.
They're competitive, but yeah, no, like you said, it's a very top heavy league, and yeah, it's probably going to be. I mean, the two teams competing for that championship are, I think, 99% confidently can say are going to be between those four.
I really do, and I think it's even. I think it could be a two horse race between
It, it
Penn State and Ohio State. I really think it is.
really, I was going to say Oregon and Ohio State.
Honestly, I think Penn State is one of those teams that I like next year. Do I like them to win the national championship? No. But I like them next year in the Big Ten to make a lot of noise and be a real team to challenge Ohio State's crown in the Big Ten.
Here's my thing about Penn State, right? James Franklin, I think he's a really good coach. We all know about his record in big games, though. That's a kind of a
Mm-hmm.
problem. You can't be a great coach if you can't perform when it's important. So
I mean,
that's
you
worrisome
you
to me.
can
That's
you
all
can
it
say
is.
that, but he went to the semifinals of the
Yeah.
college football
Again,
playoff, right?
Yeah,
He won
I'm
two
not saying
games.
again. I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but look at his big game record. It's not good.
And but
Look at his rivalry record. It's not that great either.
the argument against it, if I'm not mistaken, they played SMU at home, and they played Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. Come on, if those are the two teams you're going to beat, they faced Notre Dame. Notre Dame game was close, but Notre Dame, of course, etched that one out. Then I think, yeah, there's really a conversation made. But I like Penn State this year.
Yeah, I'm
I think
also not a big Drew Aller guy.
I was about to say, I think one of the biggest wild cards is Drew Aller and how he can play. Because it's always been Drew Aller is that guy. He's going to make that step. And then that step there's still a big step to be made. And
He hasn't taken it yet.
this is the season where he has to make the big step, right? This is the season. There's no longer is Drew Aller that guy. So for me, I still like Ohio State to do what they do and walk away with this one. Of course, everybody's going to have their eyes on Jeremiah Smith. I have my eyes on that defense, though, and what they can do in the Big Ten. But I genuinely think this is still Ohio State's one to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see what Oregon can do. I know Dan Lanning's great coach. He's got what it's take. I want to see who you probably know, but I don't know who's replacing Dylan Gabriel under center for them. But I mean, they had a good squad around their last year. They have a good defense. I mean, they're still a good team. So like, I think they'll be competitive in there. They were competitive last year. Did they won that division or that conference last year, didn't they? Or am I thinking? Or was it?
Oregon?
Yeah.
They had the bye. They were number 2. I think they did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not
So yeah, they
mistaken.
won. They won that. Yeah, they were the favorites to win the national championship at one point last year. Um, and yeah, I mean, lost Dylan Gabriel, but I still think this is a
Yeah,
pretty good
they
team. If
played. They played Penn State. They won 45-37.
yeah,
And
you're
then I
right.
remember, right? I remember because the whole thing was talking about, hey, back then in Eugene, 2-3, Oregon knocked down Ohio State from that clock kind of mismanagement from Will Howard. The Rose Bowl happened. Oregon's closer to California than Ohio State is, so everyone thought, hey, this is still kind of in the backyard of the West Coast here. And Ohio State came in and steamrolled them. I
Yeah.
mean, steamrolled them. It was embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think Oregon's one of those teams. You say Penn State. I think Oregon is kind of one of those teams as well when it comes to really big crunch time. I know they won the Big Ten championship. I know they won Ohio State, but really big those knockout games. It's interesting to always see what Oregon does.
Yeah, it's just to me, I would put them over Penn State right now in terms of competing for with Ohio State. But let's talk about the last one, kind of in there, Michigan. This one, I'd feel like out of those four is kind of teetering for this season. Again, we have to see what Bryce Underwood can do. What was he, the number one guy in the class coming in, or is he just
And he's a freshman
best
coming
quarterback?
in.
Yeah. So
So
we'll see what he can do. I know there's a lot of hype around him. I forget the head coach's name that replaced Jim, but didn't have a great first season. That's all I'm gonna say. A year off a national championship. I know you
they
lost your starting head
they lost
coach, starting
they lost
quarterback,
they lost a
and
lot of
you
names,
lost a lot of
right?
your team. But it was
They lost
I mean, it
first,
was still a pretty disappointing
first
season
line
last year.
defense, everything in between. That Michigan team had a lot of NFL draft picks
Oh, I
that
know they
year,
did.
and they
I
were
know they did, but I don't think anyone expected last season to go as bad as it did.
it was a lot of change that happened,
It was.
and
So
I
we'll see
still
what
think
happens this year.
I still think this Michigan team is on the outside looking in when it comes to, hey, am I going to challenge for the Big Ten championship? I still think they're on the outside looking in. Do I think they're on like a an Illinois or a USC level? No,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they're still on the outside looking in this conference, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think they're kind of in that range where they need to kind of prove it, right? This because again, you're gonna have to tell me the coach's name. I keep forgetting, but I mean he's kind of proven he hasn't done anything, right? He was kind of given his own team. Jim Harbaugh left and took all the guys that were there got drafted or graduated or whatnot. And first season as a head coach, pretty underwhelming. So you got to prove that you can do it to me. I'm not gonna give you the
Yeah,
credit yet. And then it
yeah,
was the same for Bryce Underwood. I mean, he hasn't played a game in college football yet, so we have to
he's
wait
a
and see
freshman. Yeah,
what he's capable
yeah,
of. I feel like
he's a
so.
freshman. Sharon Moore is the head coach.
Yeah,
Sharon
Sharon
Moore
Moore.
made the name for himself when he came in when Jim Harbaugh was suspended, and they went to Penn State with that
That's right.
championship team, and they won. Last year, again, not the best year, but again, it was more of a retooling year in college football than it was an actual contending year. Now, this is the year that they kind of have to make that step because they paid all that money for Bryce Underwood. And I know he's a freshman, but you paid all that money to be the starting quarterback. Make a play. And I know Oregon has Dante Moore as their quarterback. And Dante Moore he's a redshirt sophomore. So when it comes to that, I think this is a guy who's, although he hasn't had many playing days, he is still very experienced, third-year guy, former five-star recruit. So Oregon, I know I didn't say them much, but I think, again, Penn State and them are the 2-3. I like Penn State right now, but Oregon could be there too.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to be said about a guy that stays for a few years and when he could transfer, go somewhere else and observe and get ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see what they can do up there in the Big Ten.
Now, I think we should move.
All right, what are we doing now?
Big 12,
Big
right?
12.
That's what
That's
I was going
right.
to go with before
Yeah, that's
because
right.
I think the Big 12 is the most exciting conference
Mm-hmm.
just end to end wise. If you want to put down and say, hey, I think the SEC is the most exciting conference because of the talent, I totally get it. But when it comes to the chaos, the fun, right? I think the Big 12 is right there. You
Yeah,
got
well, I
Arizona
mean,
State.
yeah.
So
I mean, that's
Kenny
true.
Dillingham,
It's because all teams are equally as good and bad. I mean,
and I think it's not because of the talent wise. I think it's because of the parity,
yeah,
right? You got Kenny Dillingham, Sam Levitt coming in, Arizona State. They won it last time, and they went to, of course, with Cam Scatabo, as everyone knows that story, against Texas. They almost upset Texas. That targeting call we can talk about all day, but I think this is still a wide open Big 12, right? You got Texas Tech, you got Kansas State, you got Baylor, TCU, Utah, Iowa State. I mean, these are all football programs that are not, of course, talent heavy, but in the Big 12, they all are going to make some noise for that conference chip. I love the Big 12 this year. I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
of course,
the real question around the Big 12, and this is
you're
why
going
I
to
like
say
to
it, and I'm going
ask.
to say it.
Oh, I am. Are they? Is their conference, because we know how the playoff seeding works with the four teams that get buys being conference
Oh yeah,
winners?
they're a Big Four. They're a Big Four. So,
You think they're keeping a Big Four spot this year?
oh yeah, I mean,
They're not gonna be that 12.
I mean, who else would it? Like yeah, Boise State won it and they took
Well,
it
yeah, that's my
over. Like,
point. Do you think there's going to be another team or a smaller conference team that kind
I
of,
think,
and this is kind of, I don't have much to say about the Big 12. I'm just going to kind of leave this one to you, but this is kind of segmenting into the other side of all the other conferences
I love
besides the
Big
Big
12.
Four. Do you think there's going to
Yeah,
be another team out there that's going to have a really good season in one of these smaller conferences, kind of like Boise State?
if it's gonna be one of those teams, it has to be like a Liberty,
Mm-hmm.
like a Boise State, a Tulane, Navy. It has to be one of those teams like Conference USA, Mountain West, Mid
Yeah, but
American.
I'm just asking you. Do you think there is going to
I
be
don't
one?
think so. I think this is still going to be. Clemson was the rare exception. I think if SMU wins that championship game, SMU has one loss and they're a conference champion. I think they throw SMU that bye instead of Boise State, because Boise State, although they're one loss to Oregon, they're going to be like a one loss mid major versus a one loss Power Four. Okay, we're going to get to the Power Four. Clemson had, I think, three losses when they had that. They had three losses and they won the conference championship. So that's why I think it was different. I think this year, unless you have a three-loss team like how that was, I think this is going
Oh
to
yeah,
be
no, that's exactly how it works. It's the highest
but
seeded.
I don't, I don't. Yeah, they don't do the buys anymore like that.
They
So
don't. No, yeah,
they
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 changed.
changed
Yeah,
where
no,
you
I
get
told people this, and they said I was wrong all year. I said we're not gonna have this problem anymore. I was like, because
yeah,
next year it's just gonna
exactly.
be the four highest rated seeded
It's like the
teams.
four highest rated, but a conference championship team gets an automatic bid into the college playoff.
Yeah, that's how it works. But it's
Correct.
not.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's not an
It's
automatic
not, it's
buy.
not just the conference champion. Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
So that was a one and done kind of year, and I just again you have to go undefeated, in my opinion, in those mid majors and really make noise to get yourself a top four seed. Because who are they going to put a top four? Let's say Texas and Georgia play, and Georgia wipes their schedule. They lose to Texas at home, but they beat Texas in like the conference championship. You got 2-1 loss SEC
Oh
teams.
no, no, no. I know what you're saying at this point.
They're going to throw that in there. So
My whole thing was because I forgot that they were changing it because I let people gaslight me for so long that I was making it up. But
of course you did.
because I thought it was they were going to keep doing the the four seeds are reserved for the four highest conference winners. And my point being, and like you said, Clemson was kind of an anomaly last year, being three losses and somehow still making it to the ACC championship and winning. I think I agree with you. If SMU beat Clemson, a one-loss Power Four, I think they would have put over Boise State. My point being to you is kind of in the Big 12, where those two conference games, or that conference game, could come down to two teams that are like 9-3 each, right? That's just how the conference works.
But
They're
that's
all
how it
that
is.
competitive. My point being, so that's what I'm saying. Do you think there's going to be a mid-level team out there that's maybe could be a 10-2 conference champion with maybe a good
No,
Power Five win under their
they would,
resume?
they would have to be undefeated, in my opinion,
Okay.
because I think the playoffs going to look at, hey, we got a two loss Arizona State, right? Let's say they lost one out of conference game and they lost one in conference, they win the conference championship, and you got like a 11-1 Boise State. They're going to be like, we're going to take the team that is the Big Four over that one loss. I think there has to be that cushion. So, yeah, I got them like just doing that. And I think when it comes to the Big 12, it doesn't have to be Arizona State that wins it. I like Kansas State as well, like Utah. Cam Rising, of course, retired.
BYU.
BYU, I think, is a good sleeper team in there.
Yeah.
Like this is a good BYU lost some talent, but this is a good Big 12 where it's like you want to watch a game at 10:30 and watch one of the most exciting games, Big 12 actions right there. I mean, Big 12 is going to be, I think, great conferences here for people that aren't just casually watching college football.
That's right. All right. Yeah.
Now, if we have to go to the big boys in the mall, baby.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish this up with the big guys in the SEC.
Wrap it up. It
Um,
means more, baby. It means
that's
more.
right. That's what just means more. Now, this is a league, or this is a conference that no one on the outside likes. Bunch of stuck up, know-it-all losers who think they're hot shit. No one likes them. Go make your own league. No, I'm just kidding. SEC, right? Well, before how about
Everybody
this?
hates
Well,
it.
I want to just say this before we start talking about the SEC. I was gonna bring this up when we were talking about the playoff seeding and how it changed this year. There's always going to be a controversy about the seeding until they get rid of that committee. They're just going to throw that out there. There's got to be like I say we get rid of conferences, or we kind of make them a little more strategically set up like the NFL does, but alas, it
Well,
won't happen.
I
Let's
think it was
get,
fine.
but
I think it was fine before with the Power Five, before all that
yeah,
money
I do
happened.
too. But
Um,
anyway, the bottom line is regulate NIL. It's out of control. But let's hop into the SEC because that's the byproduct of unregulated NIL. We now have a super conference called the SEC, where we have what Georgia, Bama, Texas, Tennessee,
Texas, Georgia,
Florida,
LSU, Ole Miss, Texas.
LSU. I'm
Tennessee.
not gonna say Ole Miss, but I would say those 6 teams are all probably title contenders this year.
You're not gonna say who do you say over Ole Miss?
I said Georgia, Texas, Bama, um, Tennessee. Maybe I can take them out though. I might put Ole Miss over Tennessee and Florida.
Florida?
Yeah,
You would put like
they like DJ Lagway down there. That's what I'm hearing.
you would put Florida over like a Texas A&M or an Ole Miss?
Oh, and A&M. I forgot A&M.
But what, you put them over Ole Miss?
Who's under center for them?
It doesn't matter who's over center for Ole Miss. You gotta look at Florida, right? You like DJ Lagway. What else do they got going on in Florida?
I don't
Come
know,
on.
but they're saying this kid DJ could be a Heisman contender. So
Okay, I think so. I think he could be a good player, but no.
okay,
So I
we'll
don't.
throw them out of there. All right, let's just stick to the 5 then. Bama, Georgia, Texas, A&M, and there was one more I was gonna throw in there. Why am I blanking? Help me out here.
LSU.
Yeah, LSU. That was it.
There you go.
There you go, LSU.
I think
Lots of good quarterbacks in the SEC this year. A lot of Heisman candidates. We already talked about DJ Lagway. I know Garrett Nussmeier's in there.
Yep.
Hurts me to say this, and I don't know how or why, but Lenore Sellers is up there as well.
There you go. There you go. Say it. Say it with your chest.
Um, but there's a better chance for Kate Klubnik, so that's all that matters. Anyway, but yeah, no, very very good conference. A lot of star power in there. A lot of really good head coaches. A lot of great rivalries. And I mean, what do we think about the SEC this year? How are these teams looking? Who do you think's running the show this season? You're a Georgia guy. Let's hear it.
I think if there's one team that's going to run the show, I think it has to be Texas, right?
Yeah,
I think it has to be
to
Texas. If you're going to play, of course, who's the favorite? I think Texas is the favorite. Now, what scares me about Texas, especially because they got to play the Dogs down in Sanford Stadium, who haven't lost since 2019 at South Carolina upset. Haven't lost since before COVID, and COVID was. That feels like a big while ago. So this Georgia team gets the job done. They know how to win at home. They have to play Texas in November at home, which is near the ending of the college football kind of regular season as well. So I think this is still Texas's conference. For Georgia, I'm scared and worried about what Gunnar Stockton's going to do if the wide receivers can catch the ball. That's what I'm scared about. They always have talent on the bench, though. But yeah, I think this is really those two teams are, I would say, top. Bama's one you got to look at. Bama's always one.
I think they're going to be good.
I think that's going to be a team that's going to be pretty good. And going down to FSU week 1, do I think they beat FSU? Yes. I know I was talking about FSU earlier and them being good, or they have a chance of being good. Do I think they beat them? Yes. Yeah. But I think that's a good tune-up game for both teams, especially considering both those teams had of course, FSU had a vastly underwhelming season, but Alabama for their
expectations.
Thank you for getting the word for me. Had a vastly impressive season. You look at Garrett Nussmeier and LSU. I think LSU, of course, is always one of those teams that are scary. but I don't think LSU is capable enough to get the job done when it comes to it. Ole Miss with Austin Simmons, who's a freak athlete, 6'3" or 6'4", if I'm not mistaken, can move well, can throw the ball well. So dual threat kind of guy. Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. It's always gonna be fun looking at that offense. Texas A&M. We're gonna see what A&M does in College Station.
They're gonna be scary this year.
I think South Carolina. I
Okay.
want to look something up for a second.
Okay.
South Carolina's go ahead, but South Carolina's schedule. I guess I can just keep talking.
I mean, isn't it the same as last year? It's pretty hard.
They have a tough schedule, and
It's
you
pretty
look at
hard.
it. It's not the hardest. They don't have to face. They don't have to face a. They play Virginia Tech at home. They don't have to face a Texas or a Georgia, but they still have to face LSU on the road.
They're playing
They still
Bama
got
on the road.
They play Bama at home this
Oh,
year.
okay. And yeah, their schedule is almost identical as last year's. I feel like
they got to play.
a lot of
They got to
same
play
games.
a College Station on the road, which is tough to play. They got to play Ole Miss on the road, which is tough. And of course, I think Clemson's going to be a really tough game. So this is one where you look at South Carolina. I think of course, what Illinois Sells does, but
again, you're not going to find a bigger South Carolina hater than this guy right here. But I mean, truthfully, Lenore Sellers is going to have to play at that Heisman level. People think he will to have a good season. I mean, you're right. They have a very hard schedule. Those aren't easy positions to play in. Like you said, they don't have a Bama or Texas or a Georgia or Texas coming in, but you're still playing Bama, who they could very easily win the SEC. You're playing A&M; they could easily win run the SEC. So it's just like, yeah, it's kind of just how it is being in this conference. But yeah, how about, I guess another good question would be, do we think any of the teams that were kind of down at the bottom of the SEC make a climb this year? I think Oklahoma is gonna come for some revenge, kind of get some of their, what's the right word, name back, like their respect. Yeah. Oklahoma is a nationally pretty prestigious college football university. They're usually known for having a good football team, and as of recent years, they just kind of haven't. So I think they'll probably try and take advantage of that. I know the SEC move has not been kind to them as it has been for Texas. But, yeah, we'll see about that. Missouri, we'll see what happens with them. Vanderbilt will probably suck. I'm trying to think who else is in there.
I think if there's a team that can get their lick back, if it is
State.
Oklahoma, Mississippi State, I think it's going to be the worst team in the conference.
Yeah,
I genuinely
think they're going to suck too.
Their whole last year. It's really funny. I think the funniest team in the SEC every year, and I mean this in no disrespectful way whatsoever, just from the storylines, is always Auburn. Because Auburn's always like, hey, I think we're going to get 9 wins this year. And it's like, you got 6. Like, you don't have 9-win money. Take your 6. And it's so funny how every year there's higher and higher expectations, and they get shot back down, then they have the high expectations shot back down. And of course, now the whole thing is Hugh Freeze loves golfing, and he's not focusing on recruiting. He loves golfing. So we're really going to see how they do with Jackson Arnold, the former Oklahoma guy, under center.
That's right.
So with Cam Coleman, wide receiver, hey, that's a 5-star right there. You got on the wide, but as a complete unit, Auburn's always a funny one to look at. So,
no, yeah, you're right.
And for Oklahoma, I like your Oklahoma shout because Brent Venables. I think if Brent Venables does not have a good year, he's gone. I think rightfully so. Of course,
I know. Yeah, I mean, he was
one of the best defensive in all of college football.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he was pretty adamant about going to the SEC.
I mean, it was every single year when he was a coordinator. Hey, we're gonna get Brent Venables, and he would just stay. And then finally, Oklahoma got the penny pinch, got it done, and then ever since then, it
hasn't worked out.
What is it? You know?
So yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens in the SEC. But yeah, I personally think it's going to be Texas Bama this year. I think Georgia's going to take kind of a step back, losing Carson Beck. I like Gunnar Stockton. I just think it's going to be kind of one of those years for him where he's just going to be learning. I still think you'll have like a 10-win season, but you know the SEC's is those 2 losses are going to keep you out of the championship. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm going to go with Bama and Texas right now. But yeah.
Now, we don't have much to talk about other than
That's
that.
Not true. We have some NBA Summer League. This is what I wanted to talk to about all episode because the NBA has been edged. It's been edged, Brooks. DJ Edgecombe is here. First summer league game the other night. Oh what was it? Saturday night. Sounds right. Yeah, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal.
We'll see how he does when it
Out
comes to
out dueling the guy that I also said we should have taken there, Ace Bailey. So he's proven me wrong.
All right.
But yeah, he looked really good.
He did look good. Pretty freaking solid.
I'm trying to think what other summer league highlights.
Bronny James had a good
Yeah.
little 10 points in 11 minutes.
That's right.
Solid action right there. But
I remember reporters asked him about the future of his teammate LeBron James's tenure on the team, and he responded, "I don't worry about that. Keep my head down." So good response, even though you definitely know what's going on. But he seems to have really matured and come into the league. It seems like he's getting the right advice. I personally think we might see a little bit more of Bronny James this upcoming season.
We could. Well, sophomore not slump, because what is there to slump about?
Nah, there's no slump. Yeah, exactly. He didn't have anything. There's nothing to slump from. But yeah, the future of his dad's tenure in the NBA is up in the air right now. There's reports that this is going to be his last season, that he's going to be leaving the Lakers in search of a team that is going to give him one last chance to win a ring. Don't know how bad that is. There was a leaked report that there was a leaked recording that someone got of him saying to someone else that his wife wants him to retire within this next year. Don't know how that's going to end out. So
I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. So, and in other news with the unks of the league, Chris Paul said this is going to be his last year.
That makes sense, as it should be, as one of the greatest point guards of all time.
I think I think it's also the wording of what he said. He said this year at the most, we might not see him again. He could retire before the season starts.
I don't want that to happen.
I don't want him to either, but
his
last team might have been the Spurs.
I want to give him his rightful farewell tour.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we're going to get that if it's LeBron's too, so.
Fair. If LeBron announces it.
He probably will. That's going to be a whole thing, trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know this is a little off topic, but back to the video game thing. I fired up NBA 2K25 the other night. This was a couple days after the draft because it's on Game Pass. So I was cloud streaming it. Didn't even have to download the 160 gigabyte game. But guess there's a thing in my NBA now where players like say I want to go. This is my last season, like legacy players, so you can like do a whole retirement tour in 2K for them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm not gonna lie. I really wish that game was like the play style. I just wish the
game was fun.
Yeah, because their ideas were so cool. I hopped on the My NBA to play the other day, and I was just gonna start a 60 just league just because they have like all these options. You could start from the Bird and Magic era. You can start from the Jordan era. You can start from the Kobe, LeBron, Curry. You can start from those points of time with those current rosters, and then go through with each certain draft class. I didn't know that. That's so cool.
I wonder if I can make Anthony Bennett the top player of all time.
You definitely could. Hop on. It's on Game Pass.
I don't think it is on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass. Then it's on Game Pass Ultimate because I pay for Game Pass Ultimate.
I thought you bought 2K25 this year.
I actually did not. Someone bought it for me.
At the first. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing the craziest thing right now.
I'm not buying the next one either. I wasn't planning on buying this one, but I had a good friend of mine, very fortunate one day, came into some financial blessings and bought me the game. So even though we deleted it 2 weeks later. But
I don't think it is on Game Pass.
No, it's probably on Game Pass Ultimate. It's on Game Pass Ultimate because I cloud streamed it.
I think one of your boys have it.
No.
Hold up.
It's on Game Pass Ultimate. I know that for a fact. They probably just took it off. That could be it too. But I know it was on Game Pass Ultimate. Any other news in the National Basketball Association?
I think we should let the Summer League play out. In the next episode, we'll have a lot of content to talk about. This was, I think, this was a dedicated, nice college football kind of wind up, and we'll get into it more. But I think it's a good thing.
You don't have anything for your segment? No
Brooks's bombs. Brooks' bomb is going to wait for Wimbledon to crash and burn, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. I'm done.
And
then.
Club World Cup going on. I watched PSG versus Bayern in Atlanta. A little good 2-0. I saw a guy break his leg. I saw 2 red cards.
Okay.
And I saw Ousmane Dembele basically certify his Ballon d'Or. Just saying. So, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't have anything else.
I have nothing else. So that will be another episode of Nothing Agreed. Thank y'all for listening. Who do y'all think are going to be the college football conference champions or even national champions? Let us know, and peace.